What's up, everybody? Today we are joined by a very special guest. As you can all see behind me, I'm a huge Philadelphia football fan, and our next guest is actually the second leading sack artist in the USFL, a man that played for the Philadelphia Stars, Mr. Adam Rodriguez.
Four-man rush, double pumps, ball comes out. The ball was knocked away, and Philadelphia has it. Adam Rodriguez in there. This will be it. Bahar, down he goes, and a fitting finish with a safety. Adam Rodriguez drops him in the end zone.
Good morning, Adam. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Super excited to talk to you. As I just showed, you're quite the baller. In that game, you actually had 3 sacks. I couldn't find the third one. Otherwise, I would have played that one too. But amazing performance. I think that's the first time in professional football history, in my time watching, I've ever seen a walk-off safety.
Yeah, I had one in high school, so that doesn't count. But I had one in high school.
That's fair. I did not catch that in my research, so thanks for filling me in on that. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. You grew up in Springville, Utah, a fairly decent-sized city out there. How big was football when you were growing up, given that your state didn't have an NFL team in its own?
It's just everybody's like childhood dream, you know. Recess, everybody would pick their teams. There'd be captains. Everybody would pick their squad and just go play and go out in the snow, pack around on the cement so the teachers couldn't see us behind the playground. We'd play. So I feel like it's not like Texas or Florida or anything, but it's definitely like everybody loves football there.
Definitely. Probably fairly comparable to my home state of Colorado.
Yeah.
So do you believe this had any sort of a long-term effect on your interest in alternative football leagues?
I don't know. I think I just always wanted to play. Like I have ADHD, so like my parents threw me in first chance they could, and just fell in love with the game, and just haven't stopped playing. I've been playing since I was 6, so I
Very
guess
nice.
next step, I guess.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So as we talked about, you go on to attend Springville High School, where you're listed as a tight end defensive end, but I also found that you ran the ball quite often as well. So you had 24 carries for 132 yards and 4 touchdowns, if that's correct, and caught, I believe, 9 passes for 149 yards and a touchdown, just showing how versatile you kind of were. So I'm curious, are you out there campaigning for snaps at tight end or running back, near the goal line if somebody goes down with an injury?
Hey, if Coach Bartz wants to throw me in, I don't know if we actually run a fullback, but when I was drafted by the Stars, I was listed as an edge/fullback. So, and I my workout with the Seahawks after the season, I was supposed to do some tight end/H-back routes and stuff, but I pulled my groin and they shut me down.
Oh, that's too bad. It would have been very interesting to see you kind of moonlight on offense and get some snaps.
I'm always down.
Definitely. Well, hopefully somebody sees this that has the opportunity to kind of put you on the offensive side of the ball as well. So in high school, you actually played baseball as well. Was there any doubt which sport held your first love?
Actually, that one's hard because baseball is my dad's first love. He didn't really play football growing up, but I think he tried to get me into baseball first. So I think baseball was my first love until I hit somebody, and then I knew it was football from there because I was like, baseball's too hard to get into once you're out of high school.
That's fair. That's fair. It does seem like it takes many, many years at the minor league level to kind of make it up to the major league level. So I can definitely understand that. Although the money is quite amazing when you make it to the major league level.
Oh yeah, no, I was like, yeah, but I don't think I was good enough, to be honest. I started all 4 years, but I don't think I had any interest at the next level. I think probably a couple JUCO schools, community colleges, but other than that, nothing.
Gotcha. That's fair. So during my research, I actually found some stats that were incorrect about your sacks in high school. They represented that you had 30. You let me know that you actually had what, 24 your senior season, was it?
Yeah,
And I believe you said 14 your junior year. So
yeah.
I'm not real good at math, but that's much over 30 already. So we're not even counting about your first two seasons. But what changed from your first 2 years to your last two seasons that you nearly basically tripled your production?
Uh, I think what had me going into my junior year with the 14 is my D line coach. I was playing linebacker at the time, and I was like backup linebacker my sophomore year, and our coach went up to our D line coach and was like, "You should put him at DN." He just laughed in my face, so I was like, "All right, cool." So that was kind of fueled the fire, and then just I played DN growing up, so it was like second nature. So I was like, get rolling. Got in the weight room. The weight room was a big thing because I'd never really like lifted that much. So I think that contributed a lot into going into my senior year because I was probably 15, 20 pounds heavier than my junior year and a
Gotcha.
whole lot faster. So I didn't really get touched by the tackles. I just kind of ran around them.
That's definitely fair. It's definitely fair. So actually, in my research, I came across that you were listed at 6 foot 210 pounds and a defensive lineman when you first originally arrived at Weber State. But you actually told me that you were much smaller than that due to some sickness, and that you were originally playing linebacker. So that kind of changed the scope of my question. But how much experience did you get at linebacker before you moved to defensive end full time?
Um, I played my whole freshman year as a Sam outside linebacker, would move inside for different packages. But yeah, freshman year played all linebacker, and then there was some packages I'd be on the edge. Got a sack my freshman year. Um, Sophomore year transitioned into D end because we had some injuries during spring ball, and halfway through the year I was like splitting reps with the ends and the linebackers, but I got my tonsils taken out and I dropped 17 pounds during the bye week. So I went back to linebacker full time. I played strong safety in a game against a triple option team against Cal Poly too.
Interesting. Interesting. I would never have guessed to see you at strong safety. A little bit of a funny story about that. Sharif Miller, a former fourth round pick and USFL player last season, is ironically listed as a free safety on XFL rosters right now. So kind of funny coincidence that we just happen to talk about that.
It's
But
athletic. We're athletic out here.
hey, I mean, if he can play free safety, it's like 6'5", 260. Good for him. He's an athlete. But
Yeah.
so anyway, in college, you go on to produce almost 200 tackles, nearly, around 41 tackles for a loss, 22 sacks, and then you also produced 10 tip passes. However, there was one game that really stood out during your college career when you played Montana and a future USFL teammate, Samuel Akem, and you had put up 4 sacks. Talk to me about this game and how you're able to disrupt the offense so often.
So we played them earlier in the year. We were undefeated at the time. I guess undefeated in FCS play. We went on the road and lost to San Diego State and Nevada. We should have beat them both, but it is what it is. But they kicked our butt at their place earlier in the season, and they were talking. Don't really like Montana. I'm just gonna say that right now. I could say it in college, but I can say it now. But I didn't really like them. They were all really cocky. We kind of were just laid back, chill team, and it just fueled the fire. It was a snow game, so I love snow games. So I went out there and I was like, oh, I'm playing at recess again. Like it was just loose as can be, and just had a feel for getting off the ball, and offensive tackle couldn't really work with me.
Well, let's be honest. I don't think a whole lot of offensive tackles out there really can keep up with you speed wise. But anyway, there was a game further on in the season that you actually had 3 carries and a rushing touchdown. So how did that situation come about?
um, Honestly, I have no idea. Maybe they saw I ran the ball in high school, and then our offensive coordinator was like, "Well, we had a wildcat package anyway, but it was for one of our running backs in the previous years. So I think he just threw that back in, and it was like, because I think we had two running backs that were banged up, so we were down basically to one running back and a fullback, and I think he just wanted to throw something in. It was against our rivals, SEU, so I think it was just something to throw in, take off of what he had on film for other teams to look at, but it ended up working. The first two attempts failed, but he kept me in for 3 so I could get the touchdown.
Gotcha. So basically what I'm hearing is right now you're probably the backup quarterback on the Stars.
No, I cannot. I can't. No. I can run the ball, but I'm not throwing it.
Gotcha. So we're not about to see a triple option offense in Philadelphia, or I guess, in Detroit this season.
That's above my pay grade. I don't know. If he wants to throw it in there, I'll be happy, but I can't expect he's gonna get completed balls.
Completely. Yeah, completely understand. It's been a while since you played quarterback, so I completely understand. So anyway, you begin your post-collegiate career in a little bit different way than most players. You end up in the spring league, which basically was the precursor to the USFL. You played for a legend in alternative football, Ted Cottrell. I mean, he was a guy that was involved with the original USFL. He was in the UFL, the AAF, the XFL 2020, the TSL. I'm actually shocked he's not involved with the USFL. What did you learn from this defensive mastermind during your time with him?
That he was all about the players. Scheme wise, he just fit it to like who he had, and we had a bunch of. I wouldn't say we were the biggest team by any means, because the other two DNs, they're barely bigger than me. They're both in Canada right now playing. So like he was there was a lot of rules. We couldn't really run a bunch of different things in the spring league because of the rules. Like we couldn't blitz corners. The linebackers had to be on the line if they were blitzing. Like so it's kind of like you had to narrow down your scheme. So we just made it really simple and just got to play ball.
Interesting. So I recently wrote an article kind of comparing you to former Philadelphia Eagles greats that have played in this wide nine scheme that Brad Miller runs in Philadelphia. Guys like Hugh Douglas, Trent Cole, Javon Curse, but a more recent representation might be Hassan Reddick. So is Hassan Reddick a guy that you kind of study given your similar size and strengths?
Yeah, for sure this year, especially because he's having a phenomenal year. Hopefully he goes and gets a few more sacks so I can have a little bit more to watch. But I think the smaller DNs definitely impact my game because I'm 6'2", 240 when I'm healthy. So
Absolutely.
just watching what they can do against a big tackle kind of helps me see what I can do.
Completely understand. Are there any other NFL players, current or past, that you kind of study to help your game?
I kind of watch a little bit of everybody's stuff and kind of try to put it all in one. Like watch DeMarcus Ware. Can't do his fake spin. I tried it in practice and I got pushed on my face. So I definitely threw that out the the thing. But like Von Miller, I watched TJ Watt, stuff like that. Julius Peppers. I love Julius Peppers.
Julius Peppers was a monster. He was very fun to watch in the early 2000s for sure. So for those of us joining us, we are speaking with defensive end Adam Rodriguez, the second leading sack artist in the USFL last season and man who plays for the Philadelphia Stars. So hit that like button if you love spring football as much as I do and as much as the man next to me does, obviously, because he continues to play it year after year. So back to the interview. As we all know, Brian Woods essentially transformed the TSL into the USFL in 2022. So when did players kind of become aware that this change was happening?
It was all over social media is like how we found out it was going to happen. Like the season was done for like 2 or 3 months and we were all back home hopefully we were trying to get ready for camp invites or something like that. A few of us did, but yeah, it was just all social media. We didn't know anything until a few months after.
Interesting. I would have expected that you guys would have known a little bit earlier, but that's fair. I mean, really, if we're being quite honest, I think most of the guys that ended up in the USFL that came from the TSL would have gladly taken the USFL opportunity if they weren't aware of it beforehand. So,
oh yeah,
a lot of players in the USFL got there in part to previously playing for coaches. You actually have a story that's quite opposite. So why don't you go ahead and tell us which relationship helped you to the Philadelphia Stars?
My D-line coach, Coach Brandon McGuire. I played against him. We kind of kicked his butt, so I think maybe that maybe that had something to do with it. I would think so, because I think I had 2 sacks against them or something like that, and was able to shut down stuff. So
Absolutely. I mean, hey, it always helps to have your position coach on your side and going to bat for you. So definitely makes sense that they ended up selecting you in the USFL draft. A couple quotes that Coach McGuire gave me, off camera is you have a relentless motor. I mean, you're a guy that effort's never a question, and that that he knows that you're always coachable. You're going to approach the game in a manner that you want to be the best. So he doesn't have to doubt anything about you. He knows you're going to come to camp prepared and ready to work. So he definitely is extremely excited to work with you once again in 2023.
Excited too. I'm ready to get back out the field. Been itching for it.
Absolutely. So during the 2022 USFL season, for anybody who didn't watch FCS football, you kind of burst onto the scene, quite honestly. I mean, you were second in the league in sacks. You had 8 tackles for a loss, a couple tip passes, and the safety that we showed before. I know this is kind of a tricky question for players, but were you satisfied with your performance?
Yeah, I think so. I came in and I didn't start right away. I think I started the 4th game or something like that. It was a backup role, played special teams. I knew I was going to have to play special teams if I wanted to make the team, and being at Weber with Jay Hill, making everybody, didn't matter if you're a starter or not, play special teams. I knew that was the way I was going to get on the roster, and just kept going, kept putting in the work and watching film and stuff. And I felt like I was pretty satisfied. There's definitely more I can do, learn, and stuff I can clean up, but I feel like I was pretty satisfied for my first professional league.
Absolutely. I would completely agree. I mean, basically you were more or less a rookie last season. Your performance was unreal, quite honestly. I mean, if I'm being quite honest, I was not entirely aware of your play, your game, the way you played before the USFL, and all of a sudden you were, sacking people left and right, and I'm like, man, who is this guy? I got to start doing some research because he is insane. So it was definitely interesting to kind of watch that progression from a fan's perspective. And later on in the season, right about the time that you kind of hit your peak is right about when I took over covering the Stars for the USFL News Hub. So it was kind of cool to follow along and talk about your progression, Channing's game, all these guys that were just balling out for Philadelphia Stars.
Yeah, no, I definitely, like, with the Channing and all the rest of our DBs, I think that was part of my success was them covering and stuff, and obviously scheme as well. So I give credit to everybody else before myself.
That's completely fair because, to be quite honest, I don't think that I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe you don't have that level of success if you're not playing in that specific scheme that, quite honestly, is really a great marriage for your talents.
I completely agree. It was kind of the same scheme as my college, so it wasn't like anything like really new. Like, terminology was a little bit different, but I kind of felt at home in the scheme. So I think without that scheme, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of talked about this off camera a little bit, and you maybe weren't necessarily aware of the connotation behind it being a home game. But in week 2, you're playing in Canton, and it's listed as a home game, probably primarily because of the fact that you're playing the Michigan Panthers, and you're also being displaced due to a Luke Combs concert at Detroit. So that's why it's kind of designated a home game for you guys. Do you believe you'll truly have a home field advantage over Michigan, given the fact that you guys played 2 games in Canton last season?
If the fans show up, then yeah. They showed up for that championship game, that's for sure. I saw a lot of Philly jerseys out there. So if the fans show up, which I hope they do, then I would consider it a home game.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on playing in Detroit and Ford Field this season?
I'm excited. I'm really excited. It's just somewhere new. Playing on a National Football League field. I don't think I've ever done it besides Canton. So I think it would just be a cool new experience for me, and hopefully build off of last season. And yeah.
Absolutely. So you kind of answered this question off camera, but how closely have you looked at the 2023 season for the Stars? or schedule?
Uh, yeah, I've checked on what the travel is going to be. I'm not really a big person that likes to fly, so I was looking what games we're flying to the two South hubs, but I've looked through it a couple times to see where we're playing and stuff.
Very nice. So the Stars, as we kind of talked about off camera, have an interesting schedule in the way it's built. You kind of start away, and then you have 5 home games in the middle of your season, and then you finish your season with 4 games as an away team, including 3 divisional opponents, which
hmm
could really be perceived as a tough end to the end of the schedule. Um, how important is it for you guys this season to get a fast start so you kind of have a little bit of a cushion when it comes to crunch time at the end of the year?
I think it's important for every season, to be honest. You get a fast start because injuries happen and stuff. So like maybe later on throughout the year you don't have some of your key players. So I feel like it's always good to have a quick start, but that the last 4 away games, it's going to be pretty tough. But I think we'll be fine.
I would agree. I would agree. I mean, I think given the fact that you guys all played in Birmingham last season and basically
hmm
every game was an away game has you uniquely prepared for this season.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm curious, did anybody really talk about the fact that your trip to the championship game this season meant the Stars had in fact been to every USFL championship game in history?
Coach Bayless talked about it like leading up to the championship game. I I don't think a lot of us were aware of it, but he was like, let's get it done so we can even up the score because I think it was like 1 and 2. They won 1 out of the 3 or something like that. He wanted to even up the score, and obviously we came up short. But it's cool that Philadelphia Stars have been in all 4.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was kind of interesting when that started circulating because I was not aware of it either. Again, neither of us were even born when the original USFL was playing. So, to be aware of all the details behind it would be kind of difficult, but that was interesting. I mean, the run the Stars have had as a franchise has to be a record somewhere. It has to. So, I'm curious, how important is it to you guys to kind of continue that legacy in 2023?
I feel like you just gotta get it done throughout the season, game by game. Can't really look forward to the championship game, or you might lose all of them. So got to get it done starting in camp. Get ready for week 1, and go on about that. Can't really look forward to the championship game in 2023.
Absolutely. So I got a few more questions for you, and then I'll let you get on with your day. I know you got your little munchkin waiting for you. So, what is your Super Bowl prediction?
Uh, I don't know. I think I guess I'll go with Philly with it. But I have people that I've worked out with and stuff that play for both teams, and I got a college teammate that's on the Eagles, so I'll root for him and the Eagles.
Very nice. And for everybody who's watching, who is your college teammate on the Eagles?
His name's Sua Opeta, backup
Absolutely.
guard.
Absolutely. One of actually little peek behind the scenes. I actually got my start as an Eagles content creator with a friend of mine. He runs a network called Gate City Sports Talk, and he is a huge fan of Sua. He talks about him all the time. He was talking him up last season about being a regular season active roster candidate, and here he is this season, kind of dominating. So it's awesome to see.
Oh yeah, no, Sua's a good guy,
Glad to hear it.
and
Glad to
he's a
hear
monster. He has no neck. It goes straight from shoulders to his head.
it. I love that. I love that. So obviously we kind of talked about it briefly. You've primarily played a 4-3 base scheme and kind of a wide 9 front. But how comfortable would you be playing, say, a 3-4 outside linebacker role, or maybe even a strong side 4-3 over front linebacker, kind of like Hassan Reddick?
I'm all open for it. Whatever helps me get to the next level, whatever helps the team. I'm always a team guy, so if I need to go play somewhere else, then I'll go try the best I can. Even put me at safety. I don't know if I'll do a good job, but I'll try to get it done.
Absolutely, absolutely. So would you feel comfortable playing like inside linebacker as well, or something like that?
uh, with a little bit of coaching and help from the teammates, I think I could run sideline to sideline, make some tackles.
Absolutely. I definitely think you've got the requisite athleticism to play that position for sure. So I got two more questions for you. One of which is, how important do you believe special teams is to your chances to getting outdoors? Or sorry, not outdoors, but outdoors at the next level?
Um, Everything. It's a lot for everybody. I feel like in these alternative spring leagues, like their teams aren't really looking for starters to go in because they got their guys, so they're looking who can impact on special teams. And I feel that's the way I got my roster spot. I feel like is special teams, and I feel like if you show out on special teams, like what there was who's the Patriots dude that played for 18 years and he just played special teams. It's like
Matthew Slater.
yeah. So it's like you can play a really long time just being on special teams. So I feel like it's very, very important for younger guys to make a strength for yourself is doing all the special team stuff.
Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about that with your experience in college. Is there any unit that you haven't played? I mean, kick return, kickoff coverage, punt return, punt coverage, all of those?
I've been on all of them. I wasn't on field goal block until the Birmingham game this year. That we no, there was a wing on the field. I think one of our tight ends got hurt, and I like looked to my left and right. Nobody was running on. The clock was going down, so I just put my helmet on and ran out there and did the job. So that was the only one I hadn't done previously, but now I've done all of them.
That's ironic. That was field goal block unit, you said?
PAT, field goal
Oh,
PAT.
okay. Interesting. Okay. That would make sense. That would make sense. I mean, given your background as a tight end in high school, for sure. So my final question is one I always love to ask, and please feel free to get into as much detail as you want. But if you were the defensive coordinator tasked with putting you as a player or someone similar to you as a player in the best position to succeed, where are you lining them up? I mean, are you playing a wide nine scheme? Are they out at defensive end? Are you strictly pass rushing? Are you standing up, moving around? Feel free to get as detailed as possible.
I like the scheme that we're in. So I'd say keep the scheme the same. Probably move me and Hodges around a little bit since we're a little smaller. We could play linebacker, like move us around, disguise it a little bit, maybe drop us back at linebacker and turn it into a 3-4 front. But I think our scheme's perfect. Just move around a little bit more. I think would help disguise some stuff with the back end. Maybe get them to come up and then bail out. It's all about disguises, I guess, in this league. You confuse the quarterback, you're going to win.
Absolutely, 100%. We saw it all season long. That's a big reason why Channing Stribling had so much success in the interception department, I would say.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad he was back there.
No doubt, no doubt. No, I love the fact that you spoke about that the Stars secondary kind of helped the pass rush and vice versa. You guys very much played off of each other. So that was very encouraging to watch from a fan's perspective because a lot of you guys came back. That's the thing that is so amazingly surprising about this year is that a lot of you guys got XFL interest, and yet most of you guys returned. So, I mean, I'm incredibly encouraged by the roster that you guys have. We have one fan question, and then I'll give you the floor to kind of shout people out and tell people where they can follow you on social media. So, Krish, one of my guys here at Shady Sports Network, asks, what quarterback are you most excited to destroy, his words, not mine, in 2023?
I kind of want to get after the Birmingham quarterbacks a little bit. That's a game I didn't get a sack in, and kind of sour taste with losing to them in the championship game. So maybe Jamar or Magoo, maybe get one of them.
That's fair. That's fair. I like that answer. I mean, you guys ended up losing by I think 3 points, 33-30. So maybe a sack was the difference in that game. We'll never know, unfortunately. But something tells me that you'll have a good, solid run this season. Maybe even ultimately lead the league in sacks this season with Chris Odom gone. So it'll be an interesting year for the Philadelphia Stars and Adam Rodriguez. So why don't we go ahead and give you the floor, or shout out anybody you want? Where can we follow you on social media as well?
Social medias, I think for Instagram and Twitter, both of my usernames are the same. It's AARod_6, because I can't use the original A-Rod because, copyright, but AA Rod_6 for Instagram and Twitter. And And then my buddy, he's from Pennsylvania. His name's Dre Elder. He plays for the New Orleans Breakers. He's having a kids camp on March 4th. So look it up, and he's got a few guys from the Eagles coming in to help him. So
Very nice. And you said that was located in Pittsburgh?
Either Allentown, Pennsylvania, or I got to look into it a little bit more, but yeah.
I got a couple guys in Pennsylvania. Maybe we can get some coverage for him or try and help him out somewhere.
Yeah, I think he has Kaiser White going and another guy going to help him. So it'll be good for the younger kids. So all about giving back. So
Absolutely.
Shout out to Jure.
No doubt. That is super cool. I love when football players give back to the youth like that. I mean, you guys are building the next generation. You're their heroes. You know what I mean? Like, quite honestly, you go there and they're starstruck. I mean, I've seen it with my own kids, watching indoor football and stuff like that. So, you know, the fact that USFL and NFL players still take time out of their lives, you know, when they've got a family at home and stuff like that, I really appreciate that from you guys. It just shows how humble a lot of you men are.
Yeah, we need to develop the game, develop the youth, and make everybody get outside and do something fun. And hopefully they love it.
Absolutely. So I got to be honest, man, it's been a lot of fun learning more about your career. I'm firmly excited for the 2023 season. I honestly think that you guys have a great opportunity to win a championship. So once again, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you have a great day, and definitely keep in touch, man. I would love to get you back on in the future. Maybe we can talk right before the championship game this upcoming season.
Yes, sir. Just let me know.
Definitely. I appreciate it. Have a great day, sir.
You too.
All right. So for anybody who's still watching, make sure you stick with us. I'm going to take a short break. Here briefly, we should be joined by Channing Stribling, the cornerback from the Philadelphia Stars as well. He led the USFL in interceptions with 7, and he missed a couple games during the regular season. Don't quote me on this, but I believe he had a game or an interception in every game that he played. So quite honestly, one of the more exciting players in the league, much like Adam. I mean, it was incredible to see the kind of talent the Stars were able to put together and the continuity that they have going into the 2023 season. Quite honestly, I am super excited, super encouraged by what they have going into 2023. And I firmly believe that their championship chances are intact for 2023. So I'm going to leave you with a quick commercial. I'll be right back. And then hopefully we'll get Channing on here shortly. So stick with us, share this with your friends, make sure you stick around, and we'll get Channing's opinion on the Super Bowl as well. Hopefully we get 2 for 2 on the Philadelphia Roots. Now a quick word about my favorite sponsor, SeatGeek. As you can see, I'm about to show you a quick demonstration about how to use SeatGeek and how easy it is to use and how user-friendly it really truly is. So if you look at this, I'm going to go ahead and search from some sports events. I'm going to look for my hometown team, the Denver Broncos, really quickly. As you can tell, it's all very neatly organized. Denver Broncos. I'm looking for the Week 18 matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that game. As you can tell, it'll go ahead and pull up several options. I'm going to look through real quick. As you can tell when you look at this map here, there are options from green to orange to red. Red is a terrible deal. Orange is a moderately good deal. Yellow, not so great. And then green is the best deal, a great deal. And it actually goes down to a point ranking as well. So you can see 8.2, 8.3, etc., etc. So if you look down here, we'll see some 9.0 deals. And that all factors in where you're going to sit, how much the ticket costs versus what else is available on the market. Great way to look and see what kind of deal you're getting, depending on where you want to sit, etc., etc. So say I just was looking for the cheapest tickets that are available. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the $25 tickets. It shows me exactly where I'm going to sit, which is way up in the nosebleeds. That's okay. I just want to see the game. So we're going to go to checkout. Come to checkout, it's going to ask you to log in. All you do is enter your mobile number, continue to billing, here's where you're going to enter your promo code. So you can see I've already used this promo code, Sam Shady. So it's already got a clickable button here, which is also super handy for people who are going to be using this app several times. But if I didn't, type in Sam Shady, click add. Sorry, I guess I have to click the button in this particular case, but it immediately takes off the $20. So with these tickets only being $25 a piece, you're going to pay roughly $30 before tax and handling and all that fun stuff. And you see an NFL game. How do you beat that? So that's my personal favorite sponsor, SeatGeek. Use our code SAMSHADY. Again, that's our code SAMSHADY to support Shady Sports Network in the future. Also, if you could like, comment on all of our videos, it would be greatly appreciated. All right, guys. Sorry for about the break. I had to go, take a minute away from the camera. We should be joined here shortly by Channing Stribling. Definitely, if anybody wants to hop on here and talk some USFL for a minute, I will place the link in the chat. Definitely hop on, give me some hot takes, give me your opinions on some recent moves. But for the meantime, here is a quick another commercial, and then we'll start talking about some USFL news.
This is Brett, and you're watching Shady Sports Network. Tune in, hit that like button.
You might wonder, what do these guys do? Player signing announcements. I never in a million years thought you would actually come on to break this news. So without further ado, go ahead and tell everybody what happened today.
Yeah, man. I just had a workout with the Cincinnati Bengals. Signing me right out.
Without further ado, I'd like to announce that, I'll be taking my talents to Salina Liberty.
This just in. The Major League of Football is reportedly collapsing, unable to pay hotel room bills, with players being kicked out of their rooms and hotel managers asking them to leave voluntarily without issue.
And then we got Lions wide receiver Williams is debuting this week as a starter. That's something to look at as far as the eye test goes. And then another one on the eye test is Mostert might be coming back to Miami. And we can see if he has a role in this offense and see if he can be viable for the next couple weeks coming and help us in the playoffs and possibly towards a championship. That would be very nice because he's sitting on my bench right now.
All right, guys, still got a couple more minutes until we see Channing join us. So I wanted to talk about some recent USFL news. The big news, of course, coming out of USFL recently is the addition of 3 more hubs. So as we all know, we will be playing in Detroit at Ford Field, the Detroit Lions Stadium. We will also be playing Tom Benson Stadium, the Hall of Fame arena that they played the championship game and the playoffs in last season. That actually had quite steady attendance last year. It was encouraging from a USFL fan's perspective. They'll be back in Birmingham with Birmingham and New Orleans calling that home. And then Memphis, the Tampa Bay Bandits have been rebranded into the Memphis Showboats and relocated to Memphis where they will call that home. And then coming with them is the Houston Gamblers. We also will see New Jersey Generals play in Canton with Pittsburgh Maulers, who have also rebranded with new colors, although they are still calling themselves the Maulers. And then we have Philadelphia and Michigan Panthers in Detroit. So definitely a lot to watch for in the 2023 USFL season. Me personally, my opinion is that the addition of these 3 hubs will dramatically increase attendance. I personally think that we'll look at, possibly tripling attendance overall when you look at the numbers from last season to this season, and that's at a minimum. The simple addition of multiple different cities you're no longer asking Birmingham to support the vast majority of the games. I mean, literally, they played, I think it was 40 games in Birmingham last season before ultimately relocating the playoffs to Canton. So, I mean, to be fair, I don't think Birmingham really got a full representation of what they will do in terms of supporting only two teams there. And quite honestly, I think that now that you're no longer stressing one city in that manner, that it will be interesting to kind of see how these different cities respond to teams coming in. Obviously, in Canton, you don't necessarily have a home team, so that market in particular will be very crucial to see how outside cities kind of receive the USFL once again. Last season they only had to host 3 games. This year, we're talking about them hosting a minimum of 10. Not to mention the playoffs, which is another 3 games, so 13 games this season. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly how that all works for Canton. And then Detroit, again, can they even remotely come close to filling Ford Field? I don't think that is a realistic possibility in any manner. I don't think the USFL thinks it's a realistic possibility in any manner. I think they'd be happy if they touch double-digit thousands in attendance and ultimately are able to come into the 2024 season with a case for ownership groups to take over and ultimately relocate the rest of these teams to their cities. Whatever that may take is a big question. We don't really know what these ownership groups will be required to buy in for, but that is the ultimate model for the USFL. They are hoping to buy or sell off franchises to kind of release the burden on the USFL as a league. This was the model in the original USFL. It's the model the NFL follows. It's the model the IFL follows. There's a reason why these bigger alternative leagues want this model. I mean, it's a huge change in the financial responsibilities of a league. So if they are able to bring in ownership groups, I think there's no question that these teams immediately go to all 8 markets in 2023 or 4. And, it immediately becomes a much different question about the long-term success of the USFL, because at this point they've gone from 1 to 4 to 8. And all of a sudden, is year 4 going to yield more teams? Do they go to 12? Do they go to 10? Do they stay at 8, but all of a sudden they've got more support, team owners, they're more in the cities, they're doing training camps out there. It'll be an interesting league to follow, regardless of if you're an NFL fan who hasn't really followed alternative football, or if you're an alternative football fan who's looking to ultimately try and have year-round football in 2023 and beyond. I mean, if we support all these leagues, they're more likely to succeed. And at the end of the day, it's giving more opportunities to players that truly probably belong in the NFL in the first place. I mean, the NFL can only employ so many players. And when you ultimately look at it, it's one of those situations where every year we're watching college free agents go undrafted and unsigned because of the fact that it's a numbers game. And there simply isn't enough roster spots for every player that's available on the market. So it's definitely interesting to watch. During my lifetime, there's never been 2 outdoor alternative leagues, and the potential of more coming back. I mean, we don't know if the MLFB ever gets off the ground. We don't know how legit the UFL is, although I lean firmly towards it is not legit side of that. But it'll be interesting to see how all these leagues pan out. I personally think the USFL is set up for long-term success the way that they have modeled themselves. It's a very sustainable business model, the way that Fox is the owner and they're basically getting free television content while at the same time getting paid by other broadcasters to put out their product. When NBC came in and paid Fox something like $200 million to broadcast their product, I mean, that was huge for the long-term longevity of the league. I mean, to say that the USFL is going anywhere anytime soon is kind of foolish, because really they already have the funds in the bank to support this league for at least 3 seasons. And so they've talked about that heavily from the league itself. So this is not new information by any stretch. Now, again, if they go into season 3 and they're not in all 8 hubs, we might have some questions about this long-term support for the league. But I think if we get in all 8 cities in year 3, it's ultimately going to be nothing but up from there. And, maybe we ultimately see both of these leagues succeed, because I do like the XFL's approach as well. They've kind of they've gone for more flash in the pan, but not in a bad way. They want more name value. They want the bigger names, the Martavis Bryants, the Vic Beasleys of the world, the guys who are a little bit older but have name recognition from their time in the NFL. Whereas the USFL kind of leaned more towards younger guys like Channing Stribling and Adam Rodriguez, guys who still have an NFL window that's open. The XFL has a lot of those guys as well, but it's a bigger mixture. The USFL seemed to shy away from the guys who are 28, 29, 30 years old for the most part. You are seeing some of those guys in the league, but you're not seeing guys like, 33, 34-year-olds, like Josh Gordon in the XFL. So it's definitely interesting to see how both leagues are built. It'll be interesting to follow along and see exactly where we end up with both these leagues. But once again, still waiting for Channing. Give me a couple more minutes and hopefully we can get him on here. Here's one more of our sponsor commercials. Check out our official sponsor, the Upside app. Available free to Android or Apple users. Download Upside using our code SAM363682 to get an extra cashback bonus on your first purchase. Upside is an app that will pay you cash back for purchases you are likely already making. Whether it's filling up your tank, taking the family out to eat, or buying groceries, Upside is working to bring you more widespread offers each day. Not only will we both receive a one-time bonus for your initial sign-up and first purchase, after each gas purchase after that, Shady Sports Network will receive a small referral bonus as well. The same can be said for any user who refers another user. As if that wasn't enough, Upside will actually pay you a bonus for the people your referrals have referred to the app as well. With so many ways to earn cash back each and every day, what are you waiting for? Download Upside today. Use our code SAM363682. That's SAM363682 to get cash back and help support Shady Sports Network today. Now, back to the original programming. Please like, comment, and subscribe to help us continue growing in the future. And now a quick shout out to our official bank of Shady Sports Network, Current. Current is a modern bank for a modern era. All online, you can sign up today using our code on the screen right now to automatically receive $50 after your first direct deposit of $200 or more. Current is incredibly easy to use and accepted at most ATMs worldwide, just like any normal debit card. There are no operating fees whatsoever, and you can even earn points on purchases that you can use to receive gifts or offers from Current down the line. If you like to get your money right away, Current's perfect for you. Direct deposits will arrive faster than before, sometimes as many as 2 days early, and your interest will be assessed near daily. Earning a solid 4% interest rate on our savings accounts has allowed us to continue to improve our content over our time with Current, and will continue to help us buy the necessary equipment to take this network to the next level. It would also help you in your pursuits. Once again, use our code displayed at the bottom of the screen to receive $50 simply for receiving your first direct deposit to your Current account. As always, thank you for your continued support. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to help us continue to grow. All right, I'm fresh out of commercials at this point, so if anybody wants to hop on and talk some football until Channing can hop on, that'd be great. For the meantime, I guess I'm going to just listen to myself babble. I'm kind of hoping that Channing still remembers that he's supposed to be joining me. We shall see shortly. But definitely excited to talk to both of these Philadelphia Stars players today. As you can tell in the background, I am a huge Stars fan. Got the shirt there from the championship run. Huge Eagles fan, so super excited about tomorrow as well. We as Philadelphia football fans have been absolutely blessed this season. I mean, for the fact that both of our major outdoor football teams will have played in a championship is unreal. Unreal. There's only, so many teams that can really say this at any level, or any cities that can say this at any level. So it's quite encouraging to be able to be a Philadelphia football fan right now. Hopefully we're able to continue this run for many years. Bart Andrews, he's in his second season with the Stars, so I would expect that he's going to be there for many years to come, assuming the USFL does in fact last like I think it will. And then the same thing with the Eagles. You know, Nick Sirianni's very young. He's a very fresh head coach. So given the run that he's had so far with 2 playoff appearances in 2 years and nothing but more and more success year after year, I expect Nick Sirianni to be a long-term head coach with the Philadelphia Eagles. So with that being said, I think we're set up for success for many years in Philadelphia. So definitely make sure you're supporting both teams, not just the Eagles. Make sure you're supporting the Stars as well. They need it, you know, to keep these leagues these leagues alive and help them survive. We need to support them. So, you know, go out, buy some merch, go see a game if you can. If you got a team in your city and you haven't really heard or seen the USFL yet, it's very cheap. I believe it's $10 to go view a game, you know. So for a family of 4, it's $40. Like, are you kidding me? What else can you do these days for $40 for a family of 4? I mean, it's unreal that you can go watch professional football that is basically NFL level quality in terms of play and on-field product and do it for that cheap. I mean, I know for a fact that even with the Broncos being as bad as they were last season, and you saw it in the SeatGeek commercial, they definitely still were more expensive than that for only 2 tickets. So to me, you can't really argue with that. You know, get your kids involved, you know, take your nephews, your nieces, whatever it may be, help this league survive, help the XFL survive. Let's keep these opportunities for players coming, because if we don't, it's going to end up being a situation where we end up where, you know, a lot of these guys don't get to have a professional career, even though they are really worthy of being at the NFL level. You know, a guy like Adam Rodriguez is a perfect example. You know, Weber State, there's not really a lot of guys making it to the NFL level from that college. So he definitely is going to benefit from some of these leagues sticking around. Thoughts on Case Cookus? That's a great question. So recently there was an article that came out from the USFL itself. Bart Andrews has his sights on a championship in 2023, and a big part of that formula is getting Case Cookus back. So we have no news currently about the fact that the Case Cookus has not re-signed yet. So definitely it's going to be interesting to watch for the next couple months. I mean, we've heard a couple things about him maybe looking elsewhere. You know, I don't really have anything concrete on that, but it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. I do hopefully expect to see him back with the USFL Stars, but that also in turn opens up some questions about where does Brian Scott land then? You know, I mean, is he basically just blackballed himself out of the league given his recent actions? Because chances are he's not going to be back in the XFL. But for anybody who has not checked out this channel, Analyze and Educate, we got an episode coming up pretty soon. This is actually NFL QB Talk on Twitter. My guy Pat from USFL News Hub and XFL News Hub, he covers the St. Louis Battlehawks and then I think 3 USFL teams currently: Memphis Showboats, Michigan Panthers, and I think the Stallions. Don't quote me on that. But Pat, if you want to get up here and chat for a little bit, feel free to click that link, man. I'm looking for some filler until Channing shows up. Basically waiting on him currently. I'm going to give it probably about 15 to 20 minutes. And then if he doesn't show up, it kind of is what it is. He's probably got something else going on, and we'll get it rescheduled in the future. It's kind of one of those things when you go live. Sometimes things happen. So we'll see how things go. Hopefully he does show up here shortly. You know, he did in fact retweet it, so I would imagine that he is planning on being here. So something maybe came up, and you know, life happens sometimes. So we'll hope that he does in fact show up here shortly. If not, like I said, I'll give you guys about 5-10 more minutes, and then we'll get out of here, and I'll hopefully get Channing on later on today or tomorrow or down the line. Regardless, super excited about the fact that I was able to get Adam Rodriguez on. If you haven't heard his story, it's definitely an interesting one. You know, he kind of is a tweener when you look at defensive linemen. A lot of guys don't really play defensive end at 6'2", you know, 240 pounds in the NFL, but he's a guy that I really think could translate well. I talked about the fact that he can play some 3-4 outside linebacker. He could be a Hassan Reddick type player for a team that's playing, you know, that over front, the strong side linebacker position. So he's a guy that he's got a lot of scheme versatility. You know, he could play inside linebacker, quite honestly, if you wanted him to. He's got the requisite athletic ability. He could honestly come in and play some tight end, some H-back, some fullback. every form of special teams. And that's why these leagues like the USFL and the XFL are important. A guy like, out of Weatherbury State that can do all these things, maybe isn't getting the attention he deserves. You go to the USFL for a season or two, you kind of build on the progress that you had as a college student, and then you move on to hopefully the NFL. And I mean, given the fact that Adam's just a rookie this season in terms of professional career, there's a good chance that more NFL teams come calling. I mean, he only had one call him after this past season, but I don't necessarily know that the NFL was maybe looking at the USFL as they should have. They were more calling guys based on previous experience with them. A lot of these guys had been on these rosters before in the past, were practice squad guys or whatever it may be. In fact, in our episode with Analyze and Educate, he actually mentioned it as a cheap NFL signing for the USFL. So basically, the USFL and the XFL were looking for players with recent NFL experience, obviously, right? So with those guys having the recent experience means they also have recent connections, which means they are more likely to end up back in the NFL if injuries occur or if they need to inflate rosters for offseason, training camp, whatever it may be, which is a lot of what we saw. We saw, I think it was ultimately about 58 players signed by the NFL from the USFL by the end of the season. Channing Stribling was one of them, but he ultimately did not make an active roster or a practice squad. He was released, despite the fact that he was one of the better players in the league. So that kind of shows you exactly how the NFL was viewing the USFL, because, again, anybody who has 7 interceptions in 7 games at a borderline NFL league, that's NFL talent. I mean, he should be in the NFL right now. But with that being said, a lot of this is politics. So, if you don't necessarily have the connections with that staff that some of the other players do, you're most likely going to be on the way out versus some other guys. So it's just a really convoluted situation. It's one of those things that there's no easy answer for any one of these guys. You just got to stay relevant and continue to play football and hope that you get in front of the right eyes and, ultimately ball out when you get that chance. And, it's one of these things where, again, some of these guys are nearing the end of their NFL windows. So do you stay in a spring league for the rest of your career and kind of build on the brand that you have as a player? I personally think yes. So, we're watching some of these guys that are nearing that point in their careers. Maybe we watch, a Channing Stribling just continue to play for the USFL until he eventually gets an NFL contract or whatever it may be. But a lot of these guys are building name value in the USFL, and the USFL would be smart to try and keep them around long term to continue to build fans. If you have a guy that you can root for year over year over year, it's going to be a lot easier for you to have, that fan base build on each season. But I still think it's incredibly important moving forward for the USFL to get these guys out there in front of fans in the cities they intend to play host to their teams. So, the fact that they really haven't done a whole lot in Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh, in New Jersey, in Houston or in New Orleans is saying a lot about the league. You still have 5 cities that you eventually want to put teams in, and you haven't really sent players out there to do signings. You aren't throwing like a Super Bowl party with players in that city. These are very cheap ways to kind of advertise your league. And in fact, quite honestly, it's really not a situation where I think you shouldn't be doing this stuff. There's no reason not to. I mean, I don't really understand what is ultimately holding the leagues back from doing stuff like this. So maybe at the end of the day, they get more involved in season 3 or heading into season 3 when they think the teams will be there and it's really important. But I would hope that if they are in fact aiming to be in all 8 cities by next season, there's a really good chance that we see a large media push on a wide scale level. Well, with all that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and call this one. I'm guessing something popped up for Channing. It's been about 15 minutes past the time that him and I agreed to meet up. If and when we do get him on, I will make sure to create another link and share it all out. So if you guys tuned in to check out Channing Stribling's interview, make sure you keep an eye out. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe to this channel. I will be bringing on every Philadelphia Stars player I can get a hold of. So if you're a Stars fan, this is the channel for you. I guarantee it. I'm a huge Philadelphia football fan. I mean, just look behind me. It's been nonstop love for over 20 years. It's not going to change anytime soon. So I intend to build relationships with every coach, every player that I can find from the Philadelphia Stars, and hopefully get them on, fairly regularly, because to me, like I said, we need to support all these leagues. So if I can give you a little bit more information about these players, you can find another reason why you want to root for them. Maybe it's because, Adam Rodriguez is a little bit of an underdog coming from a small school, or Channing Stribling is really a ball hawk and you are excited to watch him play in 2023. Whatever it may be, find your why for supporting spring football in 2023 and roll with it, because honestly, you will not be disappointed whether it's the USFL or the XFL. You're going to see good football. You're going to see hard hitting, fast play, and exciting football. So that's what we all want ultimately in the long run, right? With all that being said, I'm Sam with Shady Sports Network. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. Tune in, subscribe, like, comment, and I'll catch you in future videos.